Hey, what's going on YouTube? Hey, Happy New Year to everybody. As always, subscribe, like, and comment. And New Year, same old BS in the US. So most people are probably already know about the incident that happened down in New Orleans on New Year's. Uh, Guy drove a truck through, group of people, killed 10, and there's some things that were found, but we're gonna go ahead and get in this video, and I'm going to tell you what was found if you don't already know, to include things that they could have done better as far as security, in which I don't understand why a lot of the states aren't doing it.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on CBS News 24/7. I'm Lindsay Reiser, and we are following breaking news out of New Orleans. At least 10 people are dead and dozens more injured after city officials say a man intentionally drove a pickup truck into a crowd of people. This happened on the world-famous Bourbon Street overnight as people were celebrating the new year. It was around 3:15 in the morning local time. Officials say the man drove around barricades and hurtled down the street in very intentional behavior before opening fire on police officers. 2 officers were hit by gunfire. They are in stable condition in the hospital. CBS News has learned the suspect is dead, shot and killed by police. Officials say a long gun was recovered from the scene, and according to an investigative reporter with our affiliate WWL, it had a silencer, or more specifically, a suppressive device attached to it. Several potential explosive devices were also recovered near the scene and are being analyzed. The FBI is investigating this as a terrorist attack, and 2 sources familiar with the investigation tell CBS News the deceased suspect was wearing body armor. The truck that plowed through that crowd appeared to be flying a large black flag from the rear bumper, according to CBS News reviews of images. And law enforcement sources tell CBS News that investigators are looking into whether the flag is an ISIS flag or possibly tied to another foreign terror organization. Anna Schechter joins us now in Studio 57. She's a senior coordinating producer for our CBS News Crime and Public Safety Unit. What is the latest you're learning about the suspect?
The latest we can report the name of the suspect that investigators have homed in on. His name is Shamsud Din Jabbar, 42 years old, a U.S. citizen, resident of Texas. There are previous criminal record, including theft and driving with a suspended license. So we're starting to piece together the profile of the man who carried out this attack at this time. So chilling. It does appear that this person took some time to prepare for this, prepared the vehicle. It looks like there was a flag. Investigators are saying they're investigating whether it's an ISIS flag or possibly another terror group, foreign terror group's flag.
Did this vehicle belong to the suspect?
It seems the vehicle was obtained through like a ride share app program in Texas. So it was like a rented vehicle. So that's what we know at this time, not necessarily belonging to Din Jabbar, but that the vehicle was rented in Texas and then driven to New Orleans to carry out this attack. He was wearing tactical gear. We have a photo of him after he was killed by police, gunfire, and he's wearing like camouflage pants, tactical gear. According to law enforcement sources, the long gun that he had a device that acts as a silencer. So all of this points to premeditation and a will to carry out an attack that would inflict as much carnage as possible.
And this suspect did open fire when that truck stopped, right? What can you tell us about that?
That's right. So as the truck was ramming through people, the suspect opened fire. Police then engaged in gunfire. He shot 2 police officers. 2 are in the hospital recovering. Hopefully will make a full recovery. And then he was shot and killed by law enforcement.
I don't know if it's clear or not, but was the suspect shooting while the vehicle was still in motion?
Our sourcing indicates that it it possibly was, that they're looking at that, whether while he was plowing through is the term that they used, plowing through this crowd of people. There were dozens of people there out and about. It was New Year's Eve or just after New Year's in the early hours of the morning. That's why there are dozens of people injured. So this individual chose this specific place and time in part because there would be a crowd of people reveling over New Year's Eve.
What do we know about the barricades? You had spoken with a local official about a project that was being undertaken ahead of the Super Bowl in February.
That's right. They were right in the middle of a transition period to better protect, ironically, pedestrians on Bourbon Street. They were switching over to stainless steel, what they call as bollards, kind of barricades that allow for people to walk through them, but they could also be removed when the street is opened for traffic. So overnight, and we're still trying to pin down the details exactly what was going on there. But what officials say is that he was able to drive around the temporary barricades that were put in place because the old ones were removed. This was a project that began in November and was supposed to be completed in February, just in time for the Super Bowl when they were expecting more crowds there. So that is certainly an area of investigation. And did the suspect exploit this potential weakness in the system, and might more lives have been saved had there been larger and more stable structures in place?
So sad, because after the vehicle plowed through the Christmas market in Magdeburg, Germany on December 20th, we were talking about how, they had barricades, but these events, they're not foolproof, that somebody with a will can find a way to get in and inflict the most damage as possible. What are the next steps in this investigation? What questions are you asking?
Well, we've jumped over a big hurdle in identifying the suspect. Of course, motive is key right now. Investigators are piecing together a timeline exactly when the suspect obtained the vehicle and his driving route. How did he drive through? They're looking at his prior criminal record. And of course, did he act alone or not? Was he aided by anything? Our sources have told us they're looking at whether the owner of the vehicle knew of his plans. That's unclear at this time. But of course, they're asking those questions. They're asking about his online activity and any communication with foreign terror organizations. Was he inspired by, or was he connected to them in any way? Of course, lone wolves here in the United States can be inspired by these bigger ideas. And in the past, this has happened, Al-Qaeda and ISIS, with or without communication from a known member of that group. So they can just be inspired by the idea. So investigators are looking at that. They're looking at his online footprint. They're looking at threats. They're looking at writings, messages of intent, and were there red flags along the way?
So this is what I think, but I'm gonna walk everything back. So apparently this vehicle was seen coming through Eagles Pass because it was caught on by the cameras that they actually have set up there. So they know when they can pinpoint the date of which that vehicle came in. Whether or not he was driving it, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Or apparently he got through a ride share, so he probably wasn't driving it. Two, they also found explosive devices up around that area, which means they would pretty much either sit there prior to him, this whole charade of what he did, or someone else put him in place. Maybe it's supposed to have been an actual attack combined, where you had the explosive devices go off along with him coming, driving through the crowd. The thing with the suppressor, it is not a silencer, it's actually a suppressor, because you're going to get noise, especially for a long gun. And I'm trying to understand how he got one legally. So it's probably one he obtained illegally. Because I could tell you, I'm still waiting on mines. And they say it normally takes 90 days when you do the E-Form F or the E-Form 4, because it has to be approved by the ATF. And mine's taking a while. And I have a top secret clearance. So it means I already been checked by the FBI, interviewed by the FBI. and I'm still waiting on mine. So I'm trying to figure how this guy got a suppressor that quick, because the only thing the suppressor really does, it reduces the decibel from the actual weapon, and it cuts down on the muzzle flash. That's basically is what it's doing. To the security, and this is something I actually did when I was in Afghanistan. Well, actually in Iraq. Um, so we use these things. It's called Jersey barriers. It's straight concrete. It literally has to be lifted in place by a crane. I'm not understanding why these states, when they have these large gatherings, don't put those in place in the corners. You can position police cars inside so they can move along on the inside. If you have to arrest someone, you can arrest them, put them in the car, you can drive them to one of those endpoints where you have a paddy wagon, whatever you have there to transport those people to prison. But you don't need a whole lot of police cars on the interior. So you pretty much, if you have, just say like an X, pretty much going like this, you can put Jersey barriers here, Jersey barriers here. That keeps everything on the inside. Vehicles cannot come through. You are not plowing through those. I've had, I've seen people in vehicles that tried to run through our some checkpoints and demolish their vehicle. Only thing it did, the Jersey barrier may have slid a little bit, but that was it. You are not breaking up those concrete blocks. So they literally could have brought those in on the flatbed, use a crane, and place them in the street to block off any access for a vehicle to make those free runs. Like I said, you're not busting through those if you put them in there correctly. Why? I don't understand why they won't do that. I don't know. Because once time is winding down, you can actually have that flatbed and that crane come in, pick them up, and then take them off. But by not doing that, you leaving people, you know, open to being exposed to things like this happening. Can you stop somebody from, mass shoot, doing a mass shooting, something like that? No, you won't, unless you checking every single person that's coming through there. But vehicles, yes, you can do a deterrent on vehicles, because most times somebody see that, they're not going to do it. They're going to have to think of something else, especially if they're not in place so far out to where they now have to try to come up with something else. But I believe those explosive devices was his. It's a possibility he was in a sleeper cell, and people who know what sleeper cells are, it's known as people who will be here for 2, 3, 4 years, and then they wait to certain events to do something. So now you have the bowl game going on, and I'm pretty sure they probably heighten the security for that. But I don't know. It's just bad that we starting out this year like this already, and I'm pretty sure there are things going on in some of these states like Chicago, New York. I mean, you just had somebody got pushed the guy on down on the tracks in New York subway. People, if you run train, stay your ass away from the edge. There's no purpose. There's no reason for you to be there. The train is not coming any faster. You don't need to see the train coming. As it's coming up, you'll hear it. You're gonna see whether it's the F train, the E train, A train, whatever train you're waiting for, depending on the platform, you're gonna see it. So why are you on the edge looking down the damn tunnel? And that's why people get pushed out there. So no, I I wouldn't think that the person, maybe the guy was, who actually owned the vehicle, um, I don't know, maybe they're gonna stop doing this ride share where you can get people cars, because like I say, I would not give someone my vehicle. Yeah, you're making money. And that's what a lot of those guys do. They go to auctions, they buy vehicles, what have you. And that's what they use it for, as for income. But you don't know who you actually giving your vehicle to when you're doing that. So hey, that's all I got. Um, I'll let you know what you think down in the comments. And hey, this is Mr. Controversy, and I'm out of here.